integrating your machines with Epicor using Harmoni. So agenda, we'll be starting off with a little bit about me. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. Talk about why you may want to integrate your machines with Epicor, the challenges involved with doing that, what the DIY approach looks like if you're trying to do this yourself, how Harmoni would handle integration for you, getting into some feature details, summary, demo, and then Q&A. So we're going to start off by just letting you know about myself. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Harmoni Solutions. Some of you may know me from my past work as Ginger Help. I'm also co-founder of SaberLogic and Beslio, and the creator of the software Logicity. I've been working for 25 years in the Epicor world as a consultant primarily, heavily on the customization side of things. And I've really come with a deep knowledge of improving manufacturing processes using technology. That's kind of been my passion my whole career. So why would you want to integrate your machines with Epicor? This is what drew me into developing this product is these reasons here. First and foremost is really having a full story on job costing. Today, the old adage, garbage in, garbage out, is very true when it comes to job costing. If all you're relying on is the labor records that are being input on the shop floor, then you might not be getting the full story. It's very possible that inaccurate data is rolling all the way up to how you're quoting your jobs. So we help by marrying it. What you can do is if you integrate with machines, you can marry up that cycle time with those labor records to have that full story. Also, if there's ways to prevent safeguards to prevent scrap before the cycle even starts. So depending on your kind of machinery, if you're talking like a CNC machine, there's a variety of things that if you were integrated with Epicor, you could employ safeguards to really help prevent scrap. Epicor knows what part and revision a job is for. So if you can say, hey, this part and revision should be this program, it should have these offsets. Here's the work instruction. Here's the setup guide. If you have that all fully integrated with Epicor at the get-go, then you can really prevent costly scrap before it even starts. Also, automating non-productive tasks. If you can integrate with Epicor, you can take a variety of things that today might be, non-productive. Things like going to an MES terminal and tracking your time, going out to a network drive or finding a USB stick to pull a program from, setting up all the settings on the machine. All those sort of tasks, they take human effort to do them. And if we can automate them by integrating with Epicor more tightly, then that's going to hit your bottom line. Then ultimately, improving efficiency with real-time data. Anytime you're able to measure something accurately, you can improve it. And when you run your shop off of this sort of data, it really will make a difference. So there's plenty of reasons why you might want to integrate Epicor with your machines. Now let's talk about some of the challenges to doing that. If you're like most companies, you actually have a variety of machines, each with their own management and communications tools. If you had a shop that was entirely one brand of machine, it would be a much easier challenge, but you typically are going to buy the best machine for the specific task you're doing. And some of the vendors act as gatekeepers, only allowing an integration if they do it. And if you've ever had a chance to work with some of these folks, you would have the experience of realizing they know nothing about Epicor. Some machines may have no form of digital communications at all. So that's another challenge you will have to be dealing with. And then lastly, if the operations team doesn't really feel sufficiently integrated with the front office, you might have challenges getting them to really participate in process improvements if Epicor is involved with it. So the DIY approach basically looks something like this. You have to figure out how to connect to your machine. There are a variety of standards out there that the machines may present to you. It may be something as old school as a serial port. It might be something more modern. It might be a proprietary language. Either way, you collect the information, then you basically need to process it. So there's a variety of software or homebrewed things you might do to collect that data and kind of boil it down, and then ultimately push that to Epicor. And of course, a fully integrated setup has this going both ways. It's one thing to know whether the machine is running efficiently or not, but that doesn't really get to the core of why you would want to do this integration. So it needs to go the other way as well. You know, the Epicor job with the partner vision needs to inform the machine how to operate to prevent scrap. And so it really have bidirectional traffic here. So you may have seen a few logos on there. There's a standard called MT Connect, and there's another standard called OPC UA. These are a bit like the EDI when it comes to machine communications. You know, it's a standard that was put out there by the machine vendors. It's a powerful standard, but like EDI, it becomes very complex and has a lot of specific based off of the kind of machine you're dealing with. If you're dealing with FANUC controls, it is a shockingly powerful backend there, but you're dealing with some serious C++ code to work with that. Serial port communications, if you're you know, having to go that way, it's painful. Most of you hopefully haven't had to deal with that for some time, but there's a very difficult process of trying to negotiate with those devices to get the information you're looking for out of them. You're probably going to need some sort of supplemental hardware to make it all work, maybe something you've homebrewed, and really you'd better hope that the person that figures all this out never leaves your company. Or you could let Harmoni handle it for you. So Harmoni, we have made a device that really tries to encompass everything that we have just talked about and put it all together into a nice tidy box that you can easily, effortlessly connect in and have all these benefits without having to go through the pain of figuring it out yourself. So we hit a few major points at that. One is a long-range RFID antenna that detects people, jobs, parts, tools, automated tracking of the labor and machine time directly into MES, pairing it up with those machine records, a powerful interactive work instructions subsystem to pull the right instructions, the right setup sheets, everything for the right part revision that you sold in Epicor. The automatic loading of the appropriate CNC programs via an Epicor integrated DNC, real-time efficiency alerts, and integration with ERP, Epicor, quality, and maintenance systems. So the Harmoni device itself, once we flip to the demo portion, I'm going to show you one live, but this is kind of a mock-up of what one looks like. So it is a small device that you connect right next to your CNC control. So again, the idea is you're not walking back and forth to a terminal somewhere. We're bringing everything right to the operator so they don't need to leave. And there's a few things you got with that. It's a touchscreen interface. That's where there's a variety of interactions that we're going to work with the operator on to help them pull up their, their jobs and their programs and work instructions and everything else. We have a long-range RFID antenna baked into the device. So as soon as you're within, it could be within 15 feet of the device, it just knows who you are. So you're more confirming what you're doing as opposed to keying anything in or scanning anything. We have universal connectivity on this box to a variety of networks and equipment. So, again, baked onto the device, we have the drivers for all those difficult things we were just talking about. Your FANUC focus, your MT Connect, your OPC UA, your analog reading voltage off a wire, all that's just baked onto the device. Then lastly, we have this high intensity indicator light on the top of the device here that you're going to see provides a powerful visual factory dynamic to how you run things, where in addition to using dashboards and everything else to tell how your shop's running, you can just look out and look for the lights and it'll tell you what's going on out there. This all gets paired up with our cloud platform. So it's a browser-based product that you will use to maintain all of your work instructions, check sheets, CNC programs, and everything else. This is basically the database that kind of combines with Epicor to pull it all together. Today, if you're storing your programs on a network drive where they're, in subfolders based off of customer or part or something like that, that isn't a database. It loses the ability to know when a file has changed, exactly what changed, who changed it, all that sort of stuff. So you need a database to tie all this together. That is what our cloud platform is. But critically, you're not manually pairing this up with Epicor data. We're seamlessly pulling in all that Epicor data and letting you tie it all together using this powerful tool here. We integrate to all your various systems using this platform out here, and this also will be the basis of where you consume the dashboards that are a very powerful feature of Harmoni to let you pull up from anywhere to know what's going on right now, what's gone on historically, what kind of things should be drawing my attention, things like that. We'll drill into each of this as we get into the demo portion. At Harmoni, we like to say we love all machines. So we built Harmoni to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife of connectivity. So again, we have these built-in drivers on the device itself to talk to everything from your newest 5-axis machines to the oldest manual mills. On the device, the left-hand side of our board is all the more modern digital communications, so RS-232, Ethernet, USB. And the right-hand side of the board is for all of the analog stuff when we need to talk to it in a more creative way. So that'd be analog, CAN bus, one wire, etc. All right, so we're going to deep dive into a few of the features here before we get into the demo, just kind of giving you a high level. First off, we talk about cycle monitoring. So there's a bunch of solutions out there that get into the concept of monitoring cycles on machines. It's a key thing to be able to measure to know whether the machine is running, all the little segments of when it's running or when it's not running, that we can analyze it. With Harmoni, though, we pair that up with an MES solution as well, and we seamlessly tie them together. So that feed of data coming off that machine with those segments, we're pairing it off with the MES transactions we're writing directly into Epicor in real time. And then if you think about that data, it's an incredibly powerful set of data we have coming off of that. We know operator, we know part, we know job, we know machine, and all these different segments, so you can slice and dice that in incredibly powerful ways. We use highly reliable Ethernet and RS-232 for the monitoring machines and analog for older machines. And we like to say, what we provide is end-to-end insights into machine efficiency. And what that means is that this same sort of analytics that you're seeing in the web browser here, which you might also pull up on a tablet or a phone, is also presented on the screen of the Harmoni terminal, is also indicated via the light on the Harmoni terminal. So everybody is keyed into this without having to go run reports manually. This is part of how you run your business when you have Harmoni in place. So punching efficiency is one of the big areas that we try to add value with Harmoni. So I've mentioned this a few times, but you track time directly in Epicor right at the machine. So right next to your CNC control or your machine control, whatever it is, you are doing the same sort of MES transactions like you would do if you walked over to a station somewhere else. But what we really try to do is optimize that as much as possible to really think through every interaction to just keep the operator running the machine as efficiently as possible. So to do that, the long range RFID is a huge help. We know the operators based off a cheap, a sticker that costs pennies that you put on their employee badge. You would put a similar sticker on maybe your job travelers, and by the time the operator walks up to the machine, instead of them keying in anything or barcode scanning anything, the terminal is basically saying, hey, Adam, I see you're working on this job. Is that correct? And I'm saying yes. And we're ready to rock at that point. And that's really a key feature there. We also handle their clock in and out for the day right from the terminal, in addition to some self-service reporting, like how many hours I worked this week, how many hours I worked today, that sort of stuff. So in the end, what we're talking about is just shaving time off the operator's day here. So they're not wasting time walking back and forth to the terminal. They do it right at the Harmoni machine. and that is going to increase your data accuracy. When it's easier to change tasks, you're more likely to do it, and that's going to impact everything from your financial reports to your quoting. Next, we get into the program offset loading and offset loading. So as mentioned, Harmoni acts as a bit of a database for that lets you pair up part revisions and actually down to the machine level and the associated packet of programs and settings and offsets that go with that. And it's a revision controlled subsystem. So, really, as the operator, when they're up at the machine and they go to load and they go to the program loading section, they're not picking anything. It's just presenting to them, here's what you need to load. They're not having to locate it themselves. So that's easy on the operator side. But then on the engineering side, we actually keep track of exactly who changed what and when. So we can go right down to a specific line of G code and say, okay, well, on this date, this changed, and maybe understand why. Maybe you're having an issue with efficiency or quality. This feature improves setup time, allowing machines to become more versatile while also eliminating potential mistakes. So first screen back here was the maintenance. This is the screen on the device itself when you're actually loading it. And again, I'll show you this on the demo, so it's perfectly clear. And another screen from the device here. All right, digital documents. So this is what we loosely call the work instruction system, but it is a wider feature than just work instructions. This would be everything from job travelers to setup sheets to work instructions to check sheets. In the same way you associate with part revisions and down to a machine level possibly for against your Epicor parts, we do the same thing with these documents. And they just pull up automatically. Again, that little RFID sticker that was on the job traveler tells us everything we need to know. I know the part in the revision in the job, so I don't need to prompt the operator for what part they're looking at. We just present it. And if you had a different set of instructions for one machine versus another, but it's the same part revision, we got that covered too. So it's a very powerful system for pulling it up, and also similarly to the program loading, we keep track of revision control, exactly who's allowed to make changes to the work instruction revisions, and then you can backtrack and find out exactly who changed what when. The most up-to-date information is always accessible to the operator, again, preventing scrap and streamlining processes. All right, so in summary, Harmoni is all about letting you squeeze more juice from the lemon. Operators are gonna waste less time on non-productive activities, and those minutes really add up. So if you can keep that machine running, you can keep it in a running state, that's huge. As you're gonna see, our dashboards are really geared towards helping you drive a shop towards keeping production cycles running. And the tools we're gonna give you are gonna help you to manage better to that and increase the data accuracy going into Epicor, because it'll become way more apparent when things are falling off the rails. You're going to be able to bid jobs and determine where and how to run parts, guided by accurate historical data. So instead of just kind of relying only on what came out of Epicor with regards to job costings from previous times, now you can run and say, all right, well, for this job, I knew it took 8 hours, that's what we charged to it. How many of that were spindle hours on the CNC machine? For a similar part, what was it like when I ran it on a different machine with a different operator? And really just do comparisons there that will help you to better quote your jobs. Then lastly, you're going to reduce scrap and increase quality when programs, offsets, and instructions are all automatically loaded, just taking operator mistakes out of the picture. All right, so let's switch into the demo side now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip and a few things. I'm going to turn off my screen share temporarily, and I'm going to turn on my webcam so that I can show you a little bit about what we're going into here. So first off, you can see behind me, I have two CNC controls actually. I have one that is a FANUC and one that is a Haas. We're going to be doing the demo against the FANUC, but this is just kind of a demonstration of how it works against both different kinds of controls or any kind of control. As you kind of see here, we have a arm mounted directly to the control, and that's where the Harmoni terminal hangs. So the Harmoni terminal is going to be, again, right next to the CNC control, so you're not wasting any walking back and forth there. Here's a close-up of one of these Harmoni devices. So as we mentioned before, we have the left-hand side of the device here. This is all the digital communications, so your RS-232, your Ethernet, your USB, all that sort of stuff. And then on this side, we have all of the analog controls that you're gonna use to, worst case scenario, read off of an indicator light on the machine or something like that. Here you can see our indicator light, and just one last note, the device can either be powered directly off a wall outlet, or you can power it off the machine. You can actually take machine power and power this device as well. So installation is meant to be really quick. These things basically, when you would sign up with us, it's sort of like when you would get an Amazon Alexa or something like that. By the time it arrives to you, it's already set up for your machine and your Epicor environment, which could be anything all the way back from an Epicor 9 all the way up to the latest Kinetic. We're good on all those. And so basically just plug it in and you're kind of ready to go. All right, so what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna turn back on the screen sharing. So my picture here is gonna get a little bit smaller for myself. And what I'm gonna show you is this here. So what you're looking at is this Harmoni device here. This is a remote display of that device. So it's a little bit easier for you to see. Obviously, you couldn't make out what I had on behind me. So this is what the user interface looks like for Harmoni. And what you're looking at here is we have a variety of different tabs that are on the Harmoni device. And currently, I am on what's called the equipment tab. The equipment tab is an at-device version of this machine monitoring sort of side of the house. So the same sort of stuff we're going to see in the dashboard, you're going to be seeing here. You can see the machine's current state, who the operator is, and what activity that they're currently clocked onto. So I'm actually going to briefly, I'm going to actually clock all the way out just so you can kind of see this from the beginning here. So clocked out. So here I have the employee badges. So I've got a handful of badges here in my hand, and each of these badges have the little RFID sticker on the back. And again, these stickers, they just cost pennies each, so you can apply them easily. And this terminal, I have a near range antenna set up on it, but you'll see if I just cleared out the list of employees that it's seen there, as soon as I get near the terminal with these badges, they just automatically show up. So that's how the employee would be identified. And again, on a production setup, we would typically have that within about a 15-foot range, but you can actually adjust that in settings, how far you want that to read. When the operator is ready to clock in for the day, they're going to tap on their name, and it's going to bring up their clock in screen. So again, this is the same as MES. They're basically going to pick their shift, which defaults for them, and they're just going to tap clock in. That'll put them in for the day. You'll see they're clocked in. Now they'll be ready to start their activity. Just like with the badges, you can put those sort of stickers on your paperwork. So you can kind of see up here, I've got the similar stickers there. Now the stickers can be reused. If the pennies were adding up substantially for you, you could reuse those and just kind of keep them on an outer like plastic envelope or something like that that goes with the paperwork. But similar to the badge, the jobs show up under the Start Activity tab here. And this is where the operator will see all the tags that were detected, and they can simply tap whether they want to do run or setup right from here. Now, we do have some smarts baked into what shows up here. Each Harmoni device is married up to a resource ID in Epicor. So when we show the operations here, we only show the operations that are for either this resource directly or the resource group that this resource is in. So we take a little bit of operator error out from that side. So I'm going to come through and say I'm going to do run on Atlas left here. So what you'll see is it'll take a few moments as it's clocking in. Similar to Epicor, this will be going right into time and expense entry right now. If I pull that up, I would see that in there. So the operator is on the activity. So in our life of an operator, our next thing is we want them to know how to do their job. So that is this option here, which is our work instructions tab. So here I've got a real basic one. You can kind of see it's a bit of like a WikiHow sort of thing where it's just going step by step, telling the operator how to do things. In fact, I took this from WikiHow. This would be more where you would be able to take and put in all your digital documents in here and have them set up. You can copy and paste right from Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, whatever you need. So it's not a incredibly tedious process. It's just a matter of just going in and saying, okay, for this part revision, optionally down to this machine, what does the work instruction look like? And again, we just automatically present it. The operator did not need to pick this. Now, if the operator was clocked on to multiple activities, let's say you're cutting the left and the right on the same machine at the same time, 2 different jobs, you can clock on to multiple jobs. If there were multiple work instructions, you'd see those presented as tabs up here. And these labels are actually can be configured based off of how engineering inputs them. So if it's not perfectly clear how it's listed here, it's up to them. So that's work instructions. Again, meant to be a real simple way operators can know how to do the job. Most frequently, we see a lot of the setup guides listed in here. You know, here's all the offsets, things like that maybe you want to present to the operator. Next, we got the program loading. So that'd be this option here. So again, similar to work instructions, you basically define a packet of all of the programs associated with a given part and rev, and optionally down to the machine, and we just bring them all up here. This is going to vary a little bit based off of what your machine supports. So for a FANUC device, we can have programs, we can have subprograms, we can have tooling offsets, we can have settings. You know, really, they're very powerful. You can provide a lot of things to them. Whereas maybe another device, you might only be able to send programs to it. So it's just up to, you know, as you define these in our cloud database, it'll be up to engineering to know what is possible to put in there for your given device. We have a variety of ways that we can load programs on machines. One, the way I have this one configured is via USB. So the way that works is any machine you have that has a USB port on it, and this goes beyond CNC machines, by the way. This is anything that would have a USB port. If you can take a USB memory stick and put files on there and put it in and like run from that, then Harmoni helps you support that. And the way it does that is there is a port on this side of the device. It's a USB port on the Harmoni terminal, and you use the little jumper cable to connect right to the USB port on your machine control. And what happens is when we take these files that have been associated here, and when you say to load them, we basically mimic like you've ejected a USB memory stick from the control, you drop the files on there and you plugged it back in. It all happens within seconds behind the scenes, but that's how it operates. And you can either load all of the programs and settings here, or you can drill into a specific one if you like and see, you know, the actual G code inside each one. This is not editable. This is purely because for making it easier for the operator if they're wanting to check it out before they load it up. So to load, you'd simply load via USB here, and you'll see it says the program's loaded. So at this point, it's just dropped that little file on the USB, virtual USB stick onto the CNC control. Now this also works for serial. If you have a device like this Haas behind me, it uses a serial RS-232 connection. So, you know, the main difference there is instead of saying load via USB, it says load via serial here. And we simply just pass it via RS-232 commands to the control. All right, so that is program loading. So again, key thing here is we've tied this all back to Epicor parts and revisions. So there's no chance that somebody is loading an old program on the control, or that they might be had an old memory stick or something like that. We're pulling it fresh every time, and it really eliminates a lot of chance for mistakes there. Now we also have a digital job traveler in here. So for any of your job travelers that you might have out on the floor now, we have a system where the operators can just tap on any of the nearby tags that they've seen, and they can just drill into the operation and see, you know, the required, completed, scrap, comments, all that sort of stuff that you might be sitting at the floor now. And again, you know, we may have put the sticker on the job traveler here, so maybe they technically had a copy of this, but what they might not have is up-to-date information about exactly who, about exactly what's been completed on this operation, so they can kind of know what's coming down the line. All right, the last bit here would be back to where we started, looking at the machine cycles. So, you know, you can see this machine is in a stop state now, so I'll just kind of mimic how this looks in a running state. I can hit cycle start on this control here. You'll see it flip to running. It's running now. I'm going to crank the feed rate way down on it so it stays running for us. And then, you know, we'll see this from the cloud side next. But again, a few key things here. You see on the bottom part here, these are the machine segments of time. So whether it's running, stopped, interrupted, whatever, you'll see all those presented down here along the bottom. And we overlay on the top the Epicor charge time. So, you know, this one's a pretty basic one. We only have a single employee who's been clocked on, but, you know, if you had multiple, you would see all the little bars here and help you to understand when different operators have larger segments of non-run time on the machine. We summarize all that up into a machine utilization figure here. So I've been utilizing this machine 26% over the period up until this moment. And we also calculate charging efficiency. So of the time you were clocked onto this job, how much of that was machine running time? So we're actually doing pretty good on that metric, 77%. All right, so let's open up now to the portal side. So the portal side here, we'll start off on just the dashboard piece to it. So the dashboard has a variety of different screens within it to help you look this information up. You know, basically I'm going to start off on the machine summary side here. You can see in my little demo entity, I only have 2 machines. As you would build this out, this tab here would list individual machines. We have a shop summary section where you can group them into cells and see aggregate data as opposed to individual data. So at the moment, I've got this machine. It's been running for 1 minute. I can see the green aura around it, and it's been running for 1 minute. I can see who the operator is. I can see the job, the part, and everything else on this machine. This one's not been running. It's actually been offline for 6 hours, no machine utilization. And I could drill into that and see that very similar view right here from the portal. So, you know, I can see the job here, and I can also drill into the table down here and actually get an understanding of how many labor hours went against it versus how many machine hours there were. So today's pretty basic. It's been running for 3.1 hours, stopped for 8.5. Of that, the operator Brent has been pretty much the only person that has been taking any of that up. He's been running it for the 3.1 hours it has been running. He's responsible for 1 hour of the stop time. And then of the unallocated, we have 7.5. That'd be before Brent got here, basically. Then we can also see the breakdown by job as well. Similar slice and dice. Today is pretty basic. What's powerful though is you have all these different buckets where you can look at this week to date, month to date, year to date, or in a custom date range. So if I go like week to date, I'm going to see this efficiency drop way down because I've actually not been running this machine much. So if I pull it up now, you know, actually we'll see that it just dropped way down there. But if I go to custom, what you're going to see is it's going to pull this, and I kind of pre-baked a specific date into here. That's why it's set to this. This is what I had selected. So I'm going all the way back to 9/7 when I knew I had some more interesting information going on. I can see on that day I was 60% efficient, and if I drill into it, You can kind of see what that day looked like. So this one I had 2 different operators, Bob and Brent. I can see all the machine segment time here, and I can start to maybe draw some conclusions on, okay, hey, we had 6.4 hours of stop. Who's most responsible for that? Actually, Bob only had 0.9, Brent had 2.2 of that. They were both working on the same job. So again, you kind of see some of the power that comes out of some of this data. When you're able to marry it all up like this, we really provide quite a bit in there. There's a lot in this dashboarding section that we don't have enough time to go through every aspect to it, but it's kind of a high level. We have alerts to kind of let you know of things you should be mindful of right now. That would be like a machine is off, not communicating, things like that. And we have insights that are a way to summarize to let you know each of your machines. You can configure thresholds of either utilization or charging efficiency, and we can bubble up those insights here. So again, these are things you should be paying attention to, alerts and insights, whereas machine summary and shop summary are more for kind of seeing everything, kind of drilling in as you like. Then lastly, we do have an inquiry section where you can take any of this information, just drop it out to Excel and do your own pivot tables or whatever you like with the raw data. All right, last thing to show inside Portal here. Again, there's not enough time to cover everything, but to show you where you maintain things like the programs and instructions. We maintain those in a section here called master files. You start off by defining them. So you can see here, this was the program that I had earlier, Atlas Left FANUC. So there's a simple system in here where you, simple but powerful, where you create your programs in here. You give them whatever name you like, and this can be kind of similar maybe to how you might name things on your network drives today, where you have all the way down to revisions, whatever, customer, whatever you like in there. That's your choice how you name it. And then when you're in looking at it, you go to edit here, you can kind of see what it's like to maintain one of these. You give it a description, you give it a revision, and then you define what we call program components. So this was before when you'd seen that screenshot or from the device. We have the friendly name for it. So load offsets, rough milling, finishing. You have what the file will be presented as on the USB when you see it on the device. Sometimes this is very specific how you want it. So we let you have a chance to fill that in. And then lastly, you put in either the G code or whatever sort of stuff is going in here. So this is here, for an example, this is how the offset loading would work on a FANUC controls. They expect files look like this, whereas this is more traditional G code here. So you define all of that in here. You can add as many components as you like to this. And again, this is kind of part of our database aspect to this. But then you go and you go to the parts section. This pulls live from Epicor. So this isn't like in Harmoni. We're just pulling this from Epicor here. If I pull up Atlas Left, and what you do within here is you define linkages to your worksheet, your work instructions, programs, all that sort of stuff. So you can kind of see here when I had for programs, I've got a link to Atlas Left FANUC if I'm running it on the resource 3VM1, and I've got it pulling to Atlas Left Haas if it's running on 3VM3. So these links I got here by this add link button, where what you do is you basically define how specific you want this link to be. So that could be down to a revision, it could be down to an assembly operation, a specific resource in Epicor. And then you hit next, and then you simply pick the program, and then that link is there, and then it'll be all set for any time that you are looking to pull it up on the machine there. So that's programs, instructions are nearly identical here. So if I go to edit, you can just kind of see what one of these looks like. It's really just a different form that keeps track of how it goes in. So with the work instructions, we organize it into sections where you can define an introduction, tools and materials, and then define all your different steps. The work instruction system actually has a very nice feature that might go above and beyond if you're doing this in something like Word today, where on any of these images that you upload, you can actually come in and drop in quick little annotations then just save those, and they just get saved in there. So it's saving you, maybe if you would be doing that in Photoshop or something like that today, you can just do it all right here. All right, so that brings me through everything I like to cover in demo. I like to leave a good amount of time at the end here for Q&A, so it brings us right to 11:45 here. So do we have any questions?
We do have quite a few questions, so I'll start going through those. The first one is, it sounds like the employees are wearing RFID stickers. How do you handle / ignore a second operator that is just helping for a few seconds on an operation? We're just talking about last night's sporting event.
Yes, good question. So you may have noticed whenever I was on this main screen and it detected all these employee badges that were here, the detection of the badge doesn't necessarily transact. It's merely a way to kind of automate the entry of that person available on the screen. So I had to actually tap on Brent here to kind of get him where I was transacting as him. Whereas if I pulled up Bob, for example, he's not even clocked in yet. But it is, there's a reason where you may actually have multiple operators on the same machine, in which case it would be very valid, and each one can operate and transact against the machine there. So it's really, we support a many-to-many paradigm here. One operator, many machines, many operators, same machine, however you want to slice and dice that. And by the way, these badges that we see here, they will eventually drop off, so they don't stay on here permanently. We keep them, if we lose sight of them and nobody's clocked onto this machine, they'll just drop off after around 10 minutes.
And I think we just answered this one while you're answering that one, but can you have one operator running multiple machines?
That's right. Yep. But let me add some clarification around that too, because I think this is actually an interesting nuance that I think after you will appreciate it after you kind of hear about it. So let's say Brent was on this FANUC here and he's running Atlas left, and let's say he next went over to the Haas and he started running Atlas right on there. When he went from the FANUC to the Haas, when he pulled himself up on the Haas and he clicked on his little icon there, he would show that he's already clocked in. He's clocked in for the day in Epicor. In fact, he would know that even if he clocked in at MES. We would know that no matter where he clocked in at. But what he wouldn't see on the Haas under current activities, he wouldn't see Atlas left there, because this is showing you the activities on this machine. Each Harmoni terminal is married to a specific resource ID. So when you go to another machine, you're only seeing the activities on that machine. So we do that, very crucially, so that we're keeping things very simple and clean. You're not seeing work instructions for another machine presented. It's keeping things very contextual to where you're at.
For work instructions, do you have a way to identify recent changes to the instructions?
Yes, we do. So the system inside of work instructions, if we were to look at it, it tracks every, it has a history section here. So if I'm able to look at that, this one might not have very much history, but what you can see is that there's actually been 2 revisions to this work instruction, and we have the ability of knowing exactly who changed things. We can do a comparison of revisions to see exactly what changed. So you can see here I removed the word test, who did it, when they did it, all that sort of stuff. So it's a real world class work instruction system. And there's a lot of power behind the scenes as far as you talk about like notifications and things like that. There's a variety of features that can be configured within it to help you control who's allowed to make those changes, when, and then maybe who is required to approve those changes, and how you get notified when those changes occur.
Is lot number tracking available?
Yes. So we actually support both lot number tracking and serial tracking. And our serial tracking is incredibly powerful. I always neglect to show this on the screen here, but whenever you are ending an activity, you simply tap on the card and you'll see the end activity screen here. This end activity screen is actually fully dynamic, and it's aware of the kind of task you're on. So this is a regular job, no lot, no serial. So it's merely asking me good and discrepant quantity. And if I filled in a discrepant quantity, it'd make me fill in a reason. If I was on a serial track job, it would show me only the serial numbers assigned to this operation, and I'd go down the list and say good, 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 bad, good, and then end activity there. And if it was lot, we would just again adapt the screen up accordingly there.
Is there different pricing based on functions used? We have furnaces, so not CNC programs, loads, etc.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, we work with folks on what they're going to use the product for, and kind of you know, figure out a solution based off of that. So yeah, everything is kind of up to the, you know, use case. We don't not to get into the way I'm going to describe the way we price this. I'm not going to get into specifics on pricing, but the way we price it is everything is an all-inclusive subscription model. So that includes all the hardware, all the support, the ongoing maintenance of how it, you know, adapts with new versions of Kinetic as they come out. That's all fully inclusive with it. There's no upfront costs involved with it beyond just kind of signing up for that first month.
Can you talk to Windows 97? Yes, so Windows 97 PC. Good question.
Good question. You know, it would depend on exactly what we're pulling from it, but I would say most likely yes. We would need to dig into the details to tell you with absolute certainty on that, though.
Can Harmony distinguish planned versus unplanned downtime?
Yes, yeah. So we have thresholds of when the machine is down, and after a certain period of time, there will be a pop-up requiring you to fill in a downtime reason if it's configured that way. And in that, you can have the opportunity of saying whether, hey, it's down for maintenance, or, you know, really classifying why it's down for your reporting.
Can Harmony capture good and scrap quantities and automatically push those to MES?
Yes, yes. So actually, that would be the screen here whenever I was filling this in. If I said one was good and one was bad, you'll see it pop down and ask me for the reason why it was bad and any sort of comments, and then you end activity. All this, when you do that, is exactly the same as if you did it in MES. There's not even kind of a middleware or anything. It's like it's 100% real time going into MES, just like you did it there.
Does this device recognize machine error codes and track them with downtime?
So it depends on the machine. On some machines, we have a very verbose feed of information, and on some, we have kind of a weak feed of information. So on a FANUC control, for example, we have a rich library of stuff that we can collect off of it. And yeah, that would be, you know, of the sort of things that we could collect. Whereas maybe on a analog device, all we've got is kind of what the wires tell us. So it depends on the machine, but generally, if it is available and our driver can pick it up, we can grab it and make use of it.
We have both Moxa boxes on CNCs, but also have some custom automated equipment using PLC boxes, some using Wonderware. Could this replace some of the PLC boxes?
Yeah, absolutely. Of the many kind of drivers that we have in there, that would be, you know, one of the options that we would have available is anything you're kind of pulling off a PLC nowadays. So like, you know, probably like a Modbus connection or something like that. That's what we'd be reading.
The next one is a two-part question, so if you need me to repeat anything, let me know. Can Harmony collect and display operating parameters such as temps, pressures, etc.? Can it capture data entered by an operator like notes, inspection results, etc.?
Yeah. So on the first part, as far as capturing that information, again, some of this does get to be a little bit machine specific about exactly what's available. So when you're talking about temperatures and things like that, that would be, you know, we'd most likely be talking about the OPC UA side of things, in which case that would be the most likely part of the feed then, that we would already be capturing it and can do with what you need from there. As far as entering the comments, I think you'd see on the end activity screen, you can enter comments in there And that's kind of the basic, similar to MES style comments that are occurring there. I believe what you might be referring to as far as the larger part of that, though, would actually be inspection results. And that is actually in a soon to be released feature. In fact, you may have seen it in some of the screenshots that we had called check sheets. So that's going to be a new icon added in here where you can key in those collection details and then flow them through either to just Harmoni's database if you don't have another place to go to, or something like Epicor Advanced Quality if you have something like that.
Is it required to use all the features such as loading offsets or work instructions?
Nope, definitely not. We can turn off anything that you choose not to use and just drop them off the menu here and keep things simple. So yeah, when I show this demo, I always like to say, we show it as the if you're using everything, but there's definitely no requirement to do everything. In fact, even the RFID for that matter, if you were like, hey, I'd prefer just to use a barcode gun or key it in by hand, even that is an option. So everything with Harmony is optional really as far as what features you want to use out of it.
Are work instructions built in Harmony?
Yes, they are. They are. So that was actually that screen we were showing a moment ago where we were in here and we were editing it and we were seeing all the different, so you define them within here. Again, you could copy and paste it if you already have it in Word or something like that. Any of these boxes here, these are just rich text boxes that take, a copy and paste from Word just beautifully. But you got to get them into a database. That's kind of the first thing. So we are that database that lets you then link it against Epicor part revisions and machines optionally.
Can you link products data in PDM system with Harmony?
Not at this point, but that would definitely be something that we would look into as a potential enhancement if that was a requirement.
Can I enter downtime codes?
Yes, yes. So the downtime codes, that would be, like I mentioned, there's a configurable pop-up that just asks the operator to disposition their downtime after a certain threshold. So maybe you don't want it within a minute, but maybe after 5 minutes, maybe after 10 minutes, I actually have this one turned off so it's not bugging me while we're doing the demo. But that's where that would get recorded.
Can you have multiple jobs on the same machine at the same time?
Yes, yep, you absolutely can. So you can return to the start activity screen as many times as you like, and you can hit run there or set up, and it'll just add them as additional cards into here, and you're running all of them concurrently then.
All the machine utilization data is stored in Harmony's database?
That's right. So machine utilization data is, very high volume, as you can imagine. You've got these cycles that are stopping and starting, and it would be too much for us to try to push that into Kinetic. So what we focus on is basically keeping the labor going into Kinetic, storing what we call the machine recs in the Harmony database, and blending them all back together on kind of the analytics side. You can still download them from our portal where you can actually pop them into Excel or something like that. But yeah, we don't push those into Epicor because they're so high volume.
Can Harmony integrate with external applications other than Epicor?
Yes, it can. Harmony is built on a flexible foundation. Epicor is one of the many ERP systems that we support integrating with. And if it really comes down to it, we built Harmony kind of in a little bit of a similar vein as Epicor is built, where we have customization layers in it. So you don't completely have to go off-road to tweak things like that. If you wish to, add your own integrations or whatever, there's a layer in there for that, that for people who are familiar with that sort of stuff can have at it.
How is Harmony sold and licensed?
Yep, so it is per machine per month. That's how we bill it. There's no upfront costs, and it's just a subscription product.
And somebody did ask if you can give a rough cost of the Harmony screen, and like a range is fine.
Yeah, so the Harmony screen itself, you actually don't buy it. It's all baked into the subscription fee for it. So what I would say is I would recommend we reach out separately on that, and I can give you that range because it will depend on features that you wish to make use of and machines and things like that. So we can take that offline if you wouldn't mind.
Perfect. And then the last thing I see here is more. Oh, actually, there's another question. There is a comment first. This is awesome. Super well thought out and clean. Love the RFID proximity detection and the work instructions that come up as a result of the worker's job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We've been working really hard on it, so that's great.
And then the last thing I have here is viewing drawings on panel.
Yep. So you can, there's a variety of ways you can put the drawings on there. You could attach them as PDFs. There are certain kind of actual rendering files that we can allow you to upload within the work instruction subsystem, or you could just put them in as images that can easily be popped up, especially if you're using the annotation side of it. That might be, in some ways, the easiest and cleanest way to do it. But we have a variety of ways of doing that.
So let's see. All right, one more just popped up. How long has Harmoni been at this?
Harmoni has been at this for about 3 years now. So yeah, so we've been working on it for quite a while. As you kind of followed me through the Ginger Help time, you would know that I'd had a lot of interest in this realm, kind of towards as I was involved with that, and we've been having a lot of fun doing this for the past 3 years.
Awesome. Are you supporting installs in Europe?
Yes, yeah, we are. Yep.
I know we actually went over about a minute here, so I don't see anything else popping up yet, but if anybody would like to reach out to you, what is the best way to reach out?
Yep, let me pull up that part of my slideshow. So you can reach me at aellis@harmoni.io, and don't sign me up for a bunch of spam lists here from my cell phone, but that's my cell phone number. So if you want to give me a call, you can hit me at that too. So I'll be happy to talk to you.
Awesome. And just one more comment that was here. Thanks, Adam. Really nice product and great presentation. And I definitely agree on that. So thank you so much for taking the time, and welcome aboard as a new vendor on the EUG.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Everybody have a good rest of your day. And like I said, the recording will be available on the EUG website in the next about 24 hours if you want to go back and review anything.
Thank you.
Bye.